Hello everyone, this is Sander. Today I'd like to give a quick tutorial on how to use KaTrain to analyze your games. I'll load up a game I recently played on OGS. You can see in the options here, you can either rewind to the start or go to the end and use fast analysis or not. This mostly depends on your level of patience and which side of analysis you'd like to take. The first one is simply going from the beginning. This is very helpful if you have slower analysis and you can just start exploring variations at the beginning of the game while the rest is still being analyzed. You can simply step through the game. I like to use the scroll wheel for this. See when the first big mistake was made. For example, C, I'm white, so I'm not so interested in my opponent here. These ratings, by the way, are wrong because of a bug in OGS. Single-digit Q. This was considered a mistake. We can either click on the move and get a quick alternative. Okay, extend there, black extends there, we take his stone. Or we can go back a move and see the alternatives. The color here indicates how good the move is, the same as the dot on the move. You can see that this move is acceptable, a smaller mistake. This move is considered the best. These other moves have kind of smaller dots, which means they're more uncertain. To make them all the same, we can equalize visits of potential moves. There's equalizing analysis to 263 visits, which means that the number of visits that KataGo gave to the top move is 263, and KaTrain forces the same for all the other moves. And this makes it realize that actually these moves it was suggesting are much worse than it initially thought. So you can see that this would have been a fine move, this would have been an okay move, but this is still the best. You can also hit spacebar to analyze the moves deeper and deeper. And of course, at some point, visits will be unbalanced again, and some of the dots will go smaller. You can also force fast analysis of the entire board. For example, here we can see if there's any reasonable place to Tanuki. And it looks like there is not. This is definitely an urgent situation in the corner to respond to. So you could step through your game like this. If at any point you do one of these advanced analysis, for example, the fast analysis or the equalize, and you decide to move on, don't worry, everything happens in the background and you can come back to it later and it will still be analyzing. Moves are kind of prioritized such that if you click on a move, it's considered more important for the engine to focus on that, and it will prioritize giving you feedback on that. You can right click on any of these to delete the branch from the SGF. And step through your game like this, which is pretty straightforward. The other way is to go to the end of the game, turn on show all dots, as I've done here anyway. You can see the mistakes for all of your moves at once. The size of the dot indicates whether a move is punished by your opponent. So typically, in the last couple of moves, you can see that both players are ignoring the life and death situation here, and both moves are considered to be terrible, terrible mistakes because there's a life and death situation, but the dot here becomes small to indicate that the mistake didn't actually lead to a point loss. This way we can focus on those moves which actually led to an effective point loss in the game and focus on the mistakes that are relevant at your level. For example, this move, you can double click on it to go to that point in the game. You can see that I came to the opponent's territory here, whereas in fact I should have done something in the corner to ensure the stability of this group and to put pressure on these black stones here. For example, here or here. Instead, I went here and black took the initiative, right at my corner and had absolute safety first. That makes sense. Let's go back to the end again. We've already looked at this kind of corner, and we can go through some other ones. Double click on that move. I cut here, and again, I should have lived in the corner. Interestingly, although black could do this, this was sufficient punishment for the dot to be pretty big. Let's see if we've gone through all the options. You can hit spacebar at any time to increase analysis. As indicated, you can set the entire game to be analyzed in more detail. This is helpful just after you load the game. Set this to a couple of thousand visits, go make a cup of tea, and come back to a in-depth analysis. You can save your game. This will generate an SGS with feedback on some of the moves and quite detailed comments. If you go into teaching settings, you can tell it which of the moves you want to save in the SGS. This way you can review your bigger mistakes only at a later time. You can also set the colors of the moves to be done at certain mistake thresholds. For example, if you're a high down player, you might never make a 12-point mistake, but then shift all the thresholds up for this to be 5 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, and so on. Next, you can turn off the dots for AI players, and this can also be used to hide dots for a human opponent by simply pretending they're an AI. As long as the analysis tab is selected here, the AI won't make any moves, so it won't have any effect. I think this covers most of the analysis features. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to thumbs up.